And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Tuesday, January 6th. Temperatures outside in the low 20s across the area, which is still above normal for this time of the year. The fog is slowly starting to push eastward, and visibilities are improving outside. So that's good news there. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. Good afternoon, Bridgette. How's your day going there so far?
Welcome to almost sunny Cooperstown, North Dakota. A little shout out to Christensen Motors. While my pickup is having a little tune-up, I thought this would be a great time to use their conference room for our show today.
Perfect. A little sun,
Yeah,
too, you said, huh? A little sun trying to peek in?
Almost. It's trying to come out. Yep. So is it sunny there at the Coral Laundromat studio?
It is not. It is still cloudy, but we are going to see a little bit more in the way. I think we'll see a few more breaks for sun as we head into the afternoon once we kind of push this fog and cloud deck out of the area. Don't expect to see a lot of sun today, but at least we'll see a little bit. And temperatures are going to remain in the low 20s this afternoon. They're not going anywhere, as winds will turn to the south this afternoon at about 5 to 10. Now, tonight, we're going to see temperatures actually rise through the night into the upper 20s by sunrise, and winds will be out of the south at 10 to 15. That's going to lead to a much warmer day tomorrow. Highs in the upper 30s tomorrow. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of us touch 40 as we'll see more sunshine. And then cool front will swing through on Thursday, dropping us off into the upper 20s to near 30. And then colder weather briefly comes into the area Friday and Saturday. We could see a clipper system bring some snow and wind on Saturday. Right now, it doesn't look like a lot of snow, but it has potential. Even if we saw up to an inch, we could see 30 to 40 mile an hour winds with that on Saturday. So that could pose possibly some travel problems across parts of the area. And then we warm right back up early next week, back into the 30s. So where's January? I mean, we're by next week, we're mid-month, and we haven't had any sub-zero readings. Now, that will change. The second half of the month will be much, much colder. Arctic air is on the move, and it will be sliding into the northern plains late next week and into the following week. So don't get used to this above normal temperature regime. Second half of the month, it will feel like January should.
And that seems about right. I mean, really, I get that we're having a nice warm up, and normally we do at some point in the winter, but the reality is we're going to see those colder temps showing up much sooner than later. So we're going to live with it, right? It should be just fine. Now, I would suggest that for those who haven't had a chance yet to send us any of your questions as well as your weather-related instances, if you're out on the highway, maybe you're seeing more frost, or maybe you finally saw some sunshine, you can go ahead and give us a call on the JLA Insurance phone line, and that is 701-293-9000. You can email us, ag@flagfamily.com or weather@flagfamily.com. Those inboxes are powered by Superior Grain Equipment. If you're looking for superior grain storage, drying, and handling solutions, you can find it at superiourbins.com. And you can be watching us thanks to Lighthouse Commodities. They keep the lights running for the show, and they do that by making sure you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Acres TV. And that's Lighthouse Commodities. Well, we've got that Vegas qualifier contest going on. Dean, you want to give us some details?
Yeah, so log on to our website if you haven't registered yet for our Vegas giveaway, the Wizard of Oz down in Vegas. You get to go see. It's an amazing show. Jay Thomas and Alex went down to see it, and they said it was just absolutely amazing. Log on to our website, WDAYradionow.com, to register for your chance to win an all-expense trip paid down to Vegas to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. So a great trip, and we're taking qualifiers this month. And today's qualifier, you will have 11 minutes to call, is Krista Crane of Fargo. Krista, you have 11 minutes to call, 701-293-9000. Again, that's 701-293-9000 for your chance to qualify for that awesome trip to Vegas. If you know Krista, again, Krista Crane of Fargo, let her know. She's got, Addison's got the countdown clock there, Addison. We're what?
10 minutes, 35 seconds.
There you go. So Krista Crane of Fargo, you got a little over 10 minutes to give us a call to qualify for that trip to Vegas. And wow, we've got a caller coming in right now. Let's see if this is Krista. Excellent. Caller, what's your name?
This is Krista Crane.
Krista! Awesome. Congrats. See how easy that is?
Yes.
So have you been out to Vegas before, and what have you heard about the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere?
Well, I'm excited to see it. I've been to the Sphere, but I wanted to see that, so.
Well, Krista, this looks like a great opportunity. You're going to have, if you win at the giveaway on February 2nd at Kingpins, you win airfare, tickets to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, hotel, and so much more. And a big thank you to All Soccer Meets as well as Kingpins for being a part of this. And how did you register so we could call your name, Krista?
I registered on your website.
That's easy enough for everybody to do. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Super easy. So, Krista, you said you've been out to the Sphere before. I've never been in there before. Is it as amazing as everyone says it is? I heard it's just something way out of this world. It is, and
the show that we saw there, though, didn't have probably as much special effects as I'm expecting that the Wizard of Oz to have. So right. I'm excited to see it.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, Krista, your name is in the hat, and we'll have our drawing. That is in February?
February 2nd.
February 2nd out
February
at Kingpins.
Kingpins, and you have to be present to win. Krista did the smart thing. She went to our website, WDAYradionow.com, and she registered for that, and then she called us on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. Congratulations, Krista. Good luck on winning the big prize.
Congrats, Krista.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a great day. So, see, it is that easy to qualify, and I wish we were eligible for this. I haven't been out to Vegas in years.
You're a chief meteorologist, Dean. You make the big bucks. You can go out there on a trip right now.
Sure, no problem.
I mean, I'm hanging around in glamorous Cooperstown, North Dakota, so that tells us where everybody lands on this trajectory. Yes.
And, you were saying you were seeing a few peaks of sun out there, and we're just starting here at the Coral Laundromat Studio to see a few peaks of sun trying to make it through. So I do think we'll see a little bit in the way of sunshine today. But as I said, tomorrow's a pick day of the week. It'll be a little sloppy underfoot with a lot of melting going on, but tomorrow's the warmest day over the next probably the next week to 10 days, because as if you didn't catch our forecast earlier, starting the middle and end of next week, the second half of the month, is going to feel more like January around here. So don't get used to the mild weather, but enjoy it if you're a fan of the mild weather. I know a lot of people want to see more snow. Our cross-country skiers, snowmobilers, we want to see more snow for them, for the winter enthusiasts, and just hang tight. We'll end up getting it. We do have a few clipper systems mid-month onward that'll freshen up our snowpack, so that's good news there.
Yeah, winter ain't over yet. No. I can tell you that.
No.
We do thank Progressive Ag for being our sponsor for Dean's Weather Updates, and they are your risk management specialists as well. The month of January has brought us a lot of things that have changed in what we're doing for our shows. And one of them started yesterday, where once a month we're going to have the drainage difference, where Blake from Landmark Companies is going to join us. And we're going to talk about tile drainage and some of the other things they do with the bore drilling and so much more that Landmark Companies is involved with in the region. And also we're going to start another new segment that'll be on once a month today. If anybody remembers back last fall, we had the opportunity to have Molly Murch with us. And Molly is an educator at Essentia Health. She specializes in working with folks about strokes. And we had some awesome feedback about Molly's opportunity to join us. In fact, people said, I really want to connect with her, and even showed up at the hospital to make appointments with her to say, I think I have a concern, whether it's myself or in family, and I would really like Essentia Health's help in this situation. So we've partnered with Essentia Health, and we are going to monthly present the Fit Farmer Focus. So for those of us who, it wouldn't hurt to slim down the sugar cookie figure, we're going to have their help, and We're going to start that today. Anna Christensen is joining us, and we want to talk primarily about getting that primary health care physician, provider, whomever it might be, because living in small communities, I mean, I, for one, have to go a minimum of 25 miles to get somewhere every time I need health care. How can Essentia help me make better decisions about who I need to choose, where I need to go, and so much more? And we're going to start that conversation with Anne when we return after we get the livestock market update from the American Ag Network. Bring your calls again on our phone line of 701-293-9000. That is the JLA Insurance phone number. Oh, it's kicking off a new year here at the Coral Laundromat Studio. We want to make sure that everybody's feeling a little bit more healthy. So just congratulations to Addison for wanting to go with all sorts of 80s theme songs for our new segments this year. I'm glad you're learning all of these too. We are joined by Ann Christensen. Ann is from Essentia Health, and she helps us kick off our Fit Farmer Focus. Ann, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I work for Essentia Health in our family medicine department. I'm one of the primary care providers in Moorhead. So I see a variety of ages, anywhere from birth all the way up to 100.
In all of that, let's talk about that reason why we should find a primary care provider. As I mentioned, I live in a small town in western Cass County. It's at least 20 minutes to 25 minutes for me to get to anybody for health care. And sometimes we don't have a whole lot of choices. What's the key to having that primary person that you see consistently?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important just to have that go-to person. Helps just really build trust and comfort, and someone to know your medical history, kind of your habits, your concerns. They kind of know your baseline. So if anything comes up, they have a good track on where you need to go. They can provide guidance and advice on things even outside of acute illnesses like nutrition, your sleep, and just overall healthy habits.
And when I moved up here about 5 years ago, I had a healthcare provider where I came from, and there was a lot of trust. I mean, so when I moved up here, I didn't know what to look for. For somebody moving or moving that is new to the community, or they're looking for a new healthcare provider, what should they look for? Anything in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you're looking for a provider, trying to kind of see, what age group do they like to see? What age group do they specialize in? Usually in family practice, we see all age ranges, but sometimes people have specific focuses. So kind of honing in on what they prefer to see is also really helpful.
Okay. And trust is a big factor too.
Yes. Finding that person where you can feel like you can talk to them about very important concerns and feeling comfortable with them.
Right.
I've got a doctor that I like, but I know he's probably going to retire before I do. So should I start something now about finding a provider for myself?
It's a great idea to have other people that you're open to seeing as well. And a lot of times at the family medicine clinics, we work as a team. So if I'm not available to see all my patients, one of my colleagues or team members is more than happy to kind of step in. We have a pretty good team approach. So if we're out of the office for a certain situation, we do get to know other providers' patients as well. So just building that rapport with them is helpful.
As you look at some of the studies that we've read, they suggest that people who have a regular primary care provider really have better health outcomes. What's the reason for that?
Well, I think regular care can kind of help prevent emergencies, and in some cases can reduce unnecessary urgent care visits. It can help address chronic conditions so they don't become out of control. We kind of stay on top of them and monitor them so we can not to have them develop into secondary issues.
This may be a question that's a little harder to answer, but it just occurred to me. Do you know what you see for a percentage of your clients and patients that come in that are coming in remotely from out of town versus those who are in town? Because I think we feel like sometimes when we have to travel in, we maybe, I know this is going to sound awful, but maybe aren't as well cared for because we don't get here as often, etc. Does that make sense? I mean, do you see a lot more patients that are just in town versus coming in from the rural areas?
I see quite a variety. I mean, I see a lot here in the metro, but I see a lot of patients that live outside of Fargo-Moorhead too, whether that's Lakes Country, Barnesville, Hawley, even Dilworth. I see some people out that are near Valley City. So I think that if we can see them in person once a year, that's helpful. Sometimes for other reasons, if they can't come in due to weather or other things, we do offer virtual access so they can access us from their home as well.
Has that gone up? I mean, we certainly know since COVID, but has that really changed a lot, doing more telemed?
We see a couple telemed visits maybe a day. I wouldn't say it's a majority of our visits, but I think it's a really good option for patients, especially when weather can be unpredictable, or there are certain types of visits that don't always require us to have a physical exam or have to necessarily touch our patients, whether we're addressing anxiety or depression or different concerns like that where we can visit with our patients and come up with a plan of care.
And our rural community, they're very, very proud and sometimes stubborn, if you will. Is that a stereotype, or, I mean, like Bridgette said, a lot of the when you're living outside of a main community, sometimes it's a little more of a hassle to get into town to see a care provider. Are you finding more and more in our rural communities that are seeking care, or not necessarily?
I think so. And I think just like we kind of talked about at the beginning, building that trust and knowing that we're working together as a team to form the best plan for that individual, and every patient's unique. So what might work for one patient might not work for another. So I think just making sure that that's emphasized, that we talk about what would be best for that specific individual.
Okay.
I was visiting with a friend yesterday. We were actually doing a podcast recording, and she talked about being in the hospital with one of her children over the holidays. And the day after Christmas, there was this big spike in patients coming into the hospital and clinic. And she asked one of the nurses why. And the nurse's response was, everybody came home for Christmas and realized that maybe that black eye that mom got because she, tripped and fell, her stability isn't as good anymore, her balance, or because dad doesn't look healthy. They're hauling everybody in to try to get a good look at them. This is probably where primary health care providers can step in. But do you see that spike as well after Christmas? And how could having a primary care advisor maybe be a little bit more helpful?
Yeah, I think anytime you spend time with family members, sometimes it comes up where you start talking about medical things or health issues. And I think that's exactly where a primary healthcare provider is going to fit in wonderfully, just so they can know about your family history, order necessary screenings and things to help guide you with that. Or maybe they're not necessary. Maybe that unneeded anxiety can help be reduced by that primary care provider. So tests may not be necessary.
Boy, that makes a lot of sense right there, that, you gotta know what's right for you, but you also can't be afraid to advocate for yourself. And probably having that primary person as a contact helps make it easier to do so, right? You sort of speak the same language that you have over time.
Yep. And I always tell patients, if they can come in, if they're meeting me for the first time, just kind of have their family history compiled, have a list of some of their medical records if they've been seen elsewhere, just so we aren't either duplicating things or we have the best picture for them and to order the necessary things.
I think there's more questions to come from Dean and I, but probably from listeners, and they can reach us on the JLA insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. When we return, let's talk about a few more things, especially like how we can prioritize some of that health, and really maybe getting to know Anne a little bit more and building that rapport. Maybe she needs to be your next stop when you visit with Essentia Health. So we'll return with the Fit Farmer Focus with Essentia Health after this. And we get that physical by making sure to tune in once a month when we have Essentia Health join us for our Fit Farmer Focus. Now, before we go back to talking about our physical health, a reminder about our financial health. Bell Bank. Well, it's never too early to mark your calendar for their July event called Ag Views Live. It's an outstanding event held the last week of July in Fargo and also Sioux Falls and then Wisconsin. Lynn Paulson, who is the Senior Vice President of Ag Lending, as well as Dr. David Cole, who's Professor Emeritus from Virginia Tech, will be on the agenda, and they share their insights and prognostications for the upcoming year in agribusiness. So if you're interested in more details, you can also go to Bell Bank's website and subscribe to the Bell Bank Ag Views quarterly ag newsletter. I do. Pretty insightful. We are joined for the Essentia Health Fit Farmer Focus with Ann Christensen. Ann is with Essentia. Ann, what's your position there, by the way? I don't think we even talked about that.
Yeah, I'm a family nurse practitioner.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been in this role for 12 years now.
Okay. There have to be some days that are better than others. Are there some good ones you can share without violating HIPAA?
Well, all of our days are so different. You know, anything that walks through the door with any sort of concern is something that we're going to see. So every day is different, which is something that I really enjoy. I don't have a specific day that sticks out to me, though, I guess. Out? Yeah.
Maybe it's coming. How's
that? Yeah, it's on the horizon.
I haven't seen her yet. Wait till I go in to visit. Then that'll be the case. That'll be the one. Oh, man, I got a story to tell you.
Dean made a great point earlier about how stubborn farmers can be, right? They're like, I'm not going to the doctor. And when they finally do go in, that's when you bring out the crash cart because you know they actually came in to see somebody. But are you noticing a trend that younger farmers are coming in more often, that they're taking a different approach to their healthcare?
I think healthcare I think the younger generation, they are coming in more often for their routine physicals. I don't know that I've necessarily seen less older people coming in or not kind of following the recommendations, but I think it is a generational thing that they're coming in more frequently.
And we were talking behind the scenes here about how important sleep is. Now, harvest is done, and I guess this could be is there ever a relaxing time for our ag community? But I mean, the long hours are coming up here around the corner as we head into spring and summer, and I'm guessing, a lot in our ag community aren't getting the necessary sleep, the 7 to 8 hours. Is everybody different? Is everybody wired different? Are there some people that, you can get by with 5-6 hours of sleep? Or, I mean, is it really crucial that we get the proper 7-8 hours?
I think some people can get by, but eventually it'll catch up with them. So
bingo.
It's really important to stay on top of your sleep. It helps with memory. It helps with mood. It helps people just being able to function each day at their maximum effort. So I just think, regular sleep is very important, and it also can help reduce illness.
Do you think that's one of the overlooked things that people just kind of tend to brush off? Because, I mean, we get busy and we get caught up maybe watching a movie late at night, or, maybe we have caffeine too late in the afternoon to keep us awake, and then that affects our sleep cycle. Is that one of the things that a lot of people overlook?
Right. I think so, because a lot of times they'll, get their second wind, or they'll want to get things done at the end of the day. And it's just really important to prioritize that sleep for your health.
And if people are having, and the reason I'm harping on this is because, again, it's when you change schedules and sometimes you can't get sleep, the proper sleep. Outside, what is something people can do to quote unquote unwind, to be able to, what if you toss and turn at night and you just can't get that proper sleep? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of my patients about sleep hygiene is what we call it. So just making sure that you try to have a regular sleep cycle, meaning going to bed around the same time each night or day, depending on your work schedule. trying to get up around the same time. Sometimes sleeping in too late can also make people feel really groggy all day. Making sure you're not doing screens before bed. The recommendation is trying to shut that screen off 60 minutes prior to falling asleep at night. That light actually keeps people awake. So it's really important to just try to wind down with other methods, whether that's reading, listening to soft music, things along those lines.
Okay. Did we lose Bridgette? Oh, we lost our connection with Bridgette. She'll be back. She'll be back. Well, she's getting her car fixed. Maybe she had to go get her car. She had to go take care of that. Well, Ann, I mean, you said you've been doing this for 12 years now, you said.
Yep.
Is there any specific favorite? What's your favorite part of your job? People ask me that all the time. What's the favorite part of your job? And I know you touched on earlier that it's different every day. Same with mine. I mean, especially weather up here, it's different every day. You don't get caught in that same rut. What is one of the favorite parts of what you do?
Well, prior to this position, I was working in the hospital, which I found extremely rewarding as well. But one thing that I missed was just developing those relationships with families. So I've really enjoyed over the last 12 years getting to know my patients. And then with time, I started to see other family members. So just kind of making that connection with their kids, their grandparents, their siblings. So just really seeing the entire family has probably brought me the most satisfaction.
Okay. And what do you do when you get, or have you ever had, a disgruntled patient where you don't know what you're talking about? I know my body. What do you do with a patient like that?
Absolutely. Yes, those are also patients that we see, and I usually just try to listen, try to understand like what concerns they have, where are they coming from, what's making them upset, what can I do to help? I never feel like pointing fingers or telling someone what they have to do is a great approach, but listening to the patient and really trying to understand their concerns and then coming up with a plan that suits them, is healthy for them, that's recommended, and then they tend to usually be less disgruntled.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. So again, in our rural community, you were touching on this earlier with Bridgette, you're starting to see more and more of the younger generations start to come in. Mm-hmm. How in general, how's the health with our ag community in terms of the ones that are starting to age up there a little bit? Is it pretty good, or have they been kind of putting off things that they shouldn't have because they're busy? I mean, we all get busy in life, and the last thing we've got errands to run and things to do, and a lot of times, unfortunately, a doctor visit is not high on the list. So
right, I think it is so individualized that it's hard to just put that on an entire community. I think it just comes down to how often someone comes in, how often they're being seen. If they're just coming in when they don't feel good versus coming in when they should come in annually just to make sure that they're up to date on all of their screenings and immunizations and those types of things.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't get to cover today?
No, come on into Essentia, schedule your physical, and we'll see you and get you caught up.
Okay. If somebody's listening, they're like, she sounds like somebody I would like to have as my family practitioner. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Ann?
We have a central scheduling line through Essentia that they can call, and they can get scheduled for a physical or an established care visit, and then we can get them started.
Okay. And always get your annual physical, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other piece of advice that people might overlook that you would like to give?
I think it's always important to know your medical history, know your family history. That's really important to help us as primary care providers make sure that we give you all the necessary tests and things that you need.
Okay. And do we have Bridgette back? Welcome back,
yep,
Bridgette.
You do. No problem. Little power outage over here.
That's all right.
So one last question I do have for Ann as well is, if you're getting ready to come in and you haven't seen a primary care provider in quite some time, you mentioned earlier, bringing in your list of questions. I think one thing that I see most often is that we have to tell our providers about everything we take. whether it's including vitamins and supplements that we think aren't a big deal, but maybe they could be. And that's probably rather important as well.
Yes, making sure that they come in with all of their prescription medications that they're on, as well as any vitamins and supplements, just so we can make sure nothing is interacting. And if there is any other prescriptions that are needed, make sure that those are safe to take with those in addition.
And be proactive for yourself. If you feel like there is something wrong that nobody else is seeing, make sure you have that conversation with your provider so that you're both on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. We're here to listen and to help, and if we don't know the answer, we'll get you to someone who does.
That's vitally important. So sorry for my blackout spot there, but we're back now, so all is good. And thank you for joining us today and answering so many questions about getting started on that primary care provider, because I don't think everybody realizes how vital that it can be to your long-term health.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ann. And when we come back, we'll have a recap of a much warmer looking forecast as we head into the middle of the week. Where's the snow? There is some back in the forecast, and we'll detail more on that coming up right after the break. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:50 in the afternoon on this Tuesday, January 6th. Temperatures outside in the 20s. We're starting to see a few breaks in the clouds. Don't expect much, but we do have much warmer weather on tap for tomorrow. After today being stuck in the 20s, we'll be in the upper 30s. Some spots will touch 40 tomorrow. It's going to feel nice. And then we'll start to cool things down a bit as we head towards the end of the week. But still above normal, back to about 30 on Thursday, in the 20s on Friday. Now, we do see a clipper system coming our way as we head into the weekend. And I'm not looking for a lot of snow out of this, but I am looking for quite a bit of wind. So even if we got a half inch to an inch of snow, you know what happens when we get those 30-plus mile-an-hour winds with that. We could have a blowing snow issue as we head into Saturday if you're doing any traveling or out and about on Saturday. And then things warm back up as we start next week, back in the 20s and 30s, well above normal. But again, the second half of the month, don't let your guard down. The second half of the month is going to be much, much different than the start of January, as we're already seeing Arctic air on the move in the north end of the continent, and that's slowly sliding southward. So we're expecting that Arctic air to arrive in our area by the end of next week and beyond. And we'll see some periods of snow with it as well. No big storms, but typically you'll get these clipper systems that bring the wind and snow. And, we've already had a couple of blizzard warnings last month with not a lot of snow, but a lot of wind. And I can see that for the second half of this month coming up as well.
Not totally surprising.
Right. It's
really,
January
when you think about
after all, right?
Yeah. It's what we do.
Right.
Absolutely. So, well, speaking of things that go on somewhat normally, well, we start planning ahead for our weed control season, especially for 2026. There's a lot of curiosity about what we should use and what we should be doing. Well, the University of Wyoming, their weed science students had a assignment, and it was to work in regards to what needs to be done for weed control for farmers who have limited options. And by that, sometimes there's more mode of action options when you look at corn and soybean producers. But if you throw in small grains or sugar beets, dry edible beans, you have less opportunity to use a wide variety of modes of action in your rotation, which is what you really need to avoid instances of weed resistance. And so out in Wyoming, they had a class assignment that turned into a weed risk calculator. This is actually an online calculator that you can use. Now, what you do is choose between your cropping system, what you're going to have in your rotation for crop, identify the weeds you want to target, then which herbicides you plan to apply over 4 years, and then where you think your potential resistance could be. And so you identify if you're concerned about group 4, 5, 27, whatever that might be. And as you factor that together, the calculator spits out a score for you between a 0 and a 4. Now, a score of 4 indicates that only one herbicide mode of action was applied across all 4 years, and that farmer has an incredibly high risk of developing herbicide resistance in their production. Because when we spray more than one mode of action as well as site of action per year, we will get a better score. So we want to aim for a score lower than a 1. That target score helps to indicate that a farmer has been deploying multiple effective modes of action against the weeds for all 4 years. If you score 0, that means no effective site of actions were applied at the time. The calculator can also determine how well the management plan will suppress your target weeds, and then can also plan your average weed control costs. So, handy tool, something to customize that you can use. And if you're interested in finding out more about that tool, again, that's from the University of Wyoming, you can go ahead and drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. My inbox is powered by Superior Grain Equipment, and I'd be happy to share that with you. Also, coming up very soon is the 28th Annual Wide World of Weeds. This is put on by North Dakota State University. It'll be on January 20th. It's an all-day event. For those of you who have your Certified Crop Advisor credentials, this is an opportunity to pick up 6 continuing education credits at one time. And you can spend the entire day learning about the updates on weed control and herbicide research that have been conducted by NDSU faculty. Additionally, there'll be a keynote address from Aaron Hager. He's a professor of weed science at the University of Illinois. Illinois stands out because they seem to be the epicenter of weed resistance. I think in water hemp alone, they have either 7 or 9 resistant modes of action. They're cruising through them quickly. So it'll be interesting to hear what Dr. Hager will share as to what are the other options that they have in fields in Illinois, and what are they going to try to be doing just a little bit differently. So there is an early bird registration fee of $100. You can get that if you register before January 13th. And again, if you're curious about looking at the agenda, you can certainly go look at the ndsu.ag website for Wide World of Weeds 26, or you can drop an email to me and I will share that with you as well. Then, when it comes to that dead zone in the Gulf of America, there's one that's down there. It has been impacted by nitrogen and phosphorus, and there are folks in Iowa at the Iowa State University who are talking about how not only ag, but the public sector can help reduce that runoff that contributes to this dead zone. This dead zone is an area of non-growth. It is detrimental to the ecosystem of the water, but it starts all the way upstream on the Mississippi watershed and rolls right on down through the Gulf. And what they're seeing is, again, these are nitrogen and phosphorus runoffs that have been reaching the waterways. Some of the ways to prevent that could certainly include using better conservation practices. We could look at cover cropping. Also, we could think about extended rotations. Oops, sorry. Guess we don't need to know if that person needs the phone or not. Also, extended rotations or pasture systems. And then we can think about some of these other cutting edge practices that what might be doing to help reduce some of the potential runoff. Now, on the flip side of that, municipal wastewater systems also have to do their part. For everyone who wants that lush, green, beautiful lawn in the summer months, when you do that and you over apply and you have a washing rain, you can see that nitrogen move and that phosphorus move through the municipal system and make it into the rivers. Some of you may think, well, it's just my yard, it's not that big a deal. But if you think that, and so does everybody else around town, pretty soon we have a big deal. And you know that golf courses are also a situation where we can have runoff that can be impacting on those watersheds, and it can also run down the Mississippi, cause problems in the same realm. So keep that in mind, that all of us have to play our part in reducing those dead zones and doing things a little bit differently to prevent that runoff of nitrogen as well as phosphorus. And then we can try to reduce what's going on in that dead zone in the Gulf of America. So a couple of agronomy headlines for today as well.
All right. And like I said, if you didn't catch the weather earlier, we're going to see tomorrow's a pick day of the week. Tomorrow's a pick day of the next, let's just say 10, if you're a fan of the warmer weather. I know a lot of our sledders and cross-country skiers, any outdoor enthusiasts for the winter, they want to see a little more snow, and just hang tight. We are going to get a few clipper systems mid-month and onward that'll add to the snowpack. No big storms, I do see, and we're just putting together our LRC calendar that will be available coming up here within the next week or so. That February looks to be a stormier than normal month, and as we head into March quiets down, kind of like January, and then April, it looks warm. Spring hits in April. In fact, it hits in the second half of March.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good news there. So for Bridgette and myself, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Weather and Ag and Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.